Hello there, it's Jan from JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me on the channel today. I have a nice masculine themed card today, mainly because of the black and the craft card, but this could easily be converted into different colour schemes. I was asked a little while ago, when I asked about what kind of things you would like to see on the channel, one of the things that came up was cards for teens, and I have popped a couple on. I think I've got an 18th one on. I think I did a 16th right back at the beginning, and I think I've done a 14th, so I thought we'll go for number 15 today. We'll have a whole collection of them. So yeah, this again was inspired, some of the basic layout, the tag, the film strip and the star was actually inspired by one that I've been trawling Pinterest recently. I get lost in there. I can spend hours in there. I was inspired by one that I saw on there, but I have added lots of changes to it. So we've added other elements to it as well. I'm going to show you how I've made it. It's made with a piece of black cardstock this time, which is a bit different. I normally sort of do lighter coloured backgrounds, but yeah, we've gone for black, and it's a 7x5 design, and then we've gone with the old craft card. I've got a little bit of corrugated here. Introduce that pop of red. This could be any colour. You know, if you're doing this for a specific person, a relative, a friend, if they have a favourite colour, you could do that. It doesn't even have to be plain. You know, it may be sort of that you use a piece of pattern paper there. I chose to put my pattern paper in the background to make the tag. Happen to have the one of the film strip dies, and that's just cut in plain black card. And then I've added some other elements in. You know what I'm like. I've got this element is an extra one, the little label here. This part was extra, and I've got some of my little Tim Holtz curator snippets in there as well. Bit of stamping in the background. Lots of all the good things that I like. And then of course we've got a nice spread of gems. I started out with just the red gems to pick up the red in the star and the brads, and then I thought it just needs a little bit of black in there, so I've got 5 red and 3 black just to bring it to life. So I'm going to show you how I've made it. We're going to do some stamping in the background. I've got a lot of these elements prepared so that you've not got to sit and watch me do all the die cutting and things like that. And then inside I've just put a very, very simple piece inside today for you to write a message on, happy birthday to you. And then I've brought those red stars to link with the one on the front. And these are just stamped with one of my oxide inks on there to match. So let's have a look and get started. So like I said, I made my own card blank. This is just black cardstock, and this measures 10 inches by 7, and I've just scored it straight down the centre at 5 inches to create myself that base card. Give it a nice burnish, and we've got that to work on. And then I've got a top layer in the craft card, and this measures 6 5/8 by 4 5/8, so very similar sizes to the previous video that I did, but that was the size that I landed on. This would equally work on a square card. You could bring the elements closer together and do it on a DL size card, so whatever fits you. So we're going to work on this one. We're going to do a little bit of stamping on this one to get some detail in the background, and I'm just going to bring in the same stamp set that I used in the last video, and that was that gorgeous grunge from Stampin' Up. It's an old stamp set. I've had this a very long time, but I love these sort of splatter effects, and we're going to use both of these. We're going to use the larger splatter and this thinner one here. And I'm going to do those straight onto the background. So let's just remove that one for a second, pop the big one on, and I'm going to bring in my VersaFine Clair in the dark brown. This one's actually Fallen Leaves, and because the craft card's quite absorbent, I wanted an ink that I knew was going to do the trick. So all I'm going to do is bring these in, and I want to do sort of at this angle here. So I want some down at the bottom, and I want a bit at the top. So I'm just going to sort of abstract. A lot of it will be behind the embellishment detail, but it just has little bits peeking out here and there, and that's what I wanted to create. So I'm going to bring one of them up, just turn them round slightly, bring one of them up at the top to echo that one. And I think that's all I want with the big one. And we'll give that a, you can see that my stamps don't get as much love as they should, but it does the trick. It really does the trick. And then we're going to bring in the sort of more scattered splatter, and I'm going to use the same ink. And again, we're just going to carry on and bring this up so that we can see some peeping up at the top and some peeping up at the bottom, because most of the detail is going to be in the middle of the card. So we're going to be able to see elements of this. You can see here there's little bits peeping out through the top and out through the bottom. So if we've got them in the right place, we can always add. The beauty of this one, with it having that little pointed end, you could always add bits in at the end if we find that there's not enough visible. I'll leave that one on the block just in case. Pop my ink back, and then we'll have a look at how we're going to start and build this up. So I've got lots of bits and pieces ready. My tag is handmade. I think this is around about, let me just have a look at my measurements. I think it ended up being a size 5 if you're over in the States. It's a size 5 tag. It measures 4 3/4 inches by 2 3/8. I was having a look at all the tag measurements the other day, and all I've done is cut this from white cardstock, and then I've applied my pattern paper over at the top, and it's just got a map design. It was out of the scrap again. It's got a map design on it. Trim the corners. I've added a little bit of stamping to look like stitching. I've got some stamps that look as if they're, you know, they've been through the sewing machine, and then I've inked the edge of it with my vintage photo distress ink. Okay, well, distress oxide on this one, so all the way around the edge. So that one is going to be sort of one of the main focal points in the background. So we're going to pop that one on like so. Now I wanted to add some extra pieces to this, so I've got a little tub full of goodies here. Let's get some of these out and we can go through what we've got. I've got bits already made so that we can pop it together a bit more quickly. So I wanted a little label popping out of here, so we're just going to slide this one underneath here so that we've got an element showing at this side, and this has just been stamped onto some scrap paper. It is just a label stamp with a number popped in it in that same brown ink that I used on the background. So what we'll do is just apply that underneath the tag so that I know roughly where I want it. So I'm going to put a little line of glue across here, get this one in position roughly where I want it to go, and then we're going to slide this one under the edge, and so that it's just got that number showing. You know what I'm like with my numbers. Let's try and get it straight, Janet. Will look a lot better. So that one's in place. Okay. I also wanted something at this side. So this is the other half. This is actually a label stamp. You can see that bit underneath here. It was a large label with that lovely sort of burnt torn edge, and I've done that, stamped that in the brown again, and then I've actually over stamped it with some of my sand dune and just put some text over the scrap paper there just to add a bit more interest. And I wanted this to go under here at this side. All right, so I'm just going to start and lay things out dry until we know roughly where everything wants to go. And then my film strip, this is a die that I've got in my stash, so this is going to go in here, but it wasn't quite long enough. So what I'm going to do is just take off one of the sections at the bottom, and then we can extend this behind the star. Okay, this one is just a piece of cardstock that I've torn the edges on, and then I have an embossing folder. What did I do with it? There it is. And again, this is an old Stampin' Up one made by Sizzix, and it's like a corrugated effect, and you get a really nice deep corrugation on it. Lovely bit of texture, just, you know, that sort of tactile finish, and this is going to bridge that gap here. Now it's a bit longer than what I need, but I can trim this off. I'd rather have it longer than not long enough, and then we're going to start building on the top. So you can see where we're heading with it. So let's pop some of these other elements down. I also, on this one, I didn't add it, but I'm going to add a little bit of washi on this one as well at the back. So I want this to come, let's have a look and see what order we need to do things in. This is going to go under here. So I want the washi, I'm going to use my pencil, and I want the washi to come down the edge of the tag, I think, so about here. Yep, before we actually put anything else on. So I'm going to tear that edge. I don't want it to be straight. I want a nice torn edge at the top and the bottom. And we're going to bring this from that pencil mark. And I just want a line of it really up the card. And again, I'm just going to check that that line's running straight because it's a vertical line. I want to make sure that we are reasonably straight. Just excuse my head if it gets in the way. There we go. And then I'm going to tear the top piece as well. So it's just a piece of striped, diagonal stripe washi, whatever you've got in your stash. Give that a good burnish so that it's stuck to the card, and then we can start and pop the other pieces in together. So I want to add this one in the background. It's a case of working from the background and work your way forwards. And again, you know, whatever you've got. I made most of the pieces for my card, and I'll show you where I've got bits and pieces from. As I said, this was just a label from a stamp set that I've got. So I want this one to go here like so, and we want this one to go about there, I think. Yeah, so that's tucked under the back of the tag as well. Then I can secure my tag, and I'm going to pop, just to help that stick, I'm going to pop a couple of pieces of double-sided tape on here just to make things a little bit quicker. And we can position that one in place. You can add dimension at any point in this style of card. You know, you can add foam pads under elements of it if you wish. I got foam pads under my star. That was the only bit that I actually wanted elevating on this one. So we've got the tape on the back of there now. Take the liner off. I am going to add a little bit of glue as well, just purely because we're working on craft card and it is very, very absorbent. So just so that we get a nice stick onto that craft card, we're going to add some glue as well. And then I'm going to bring that one in, and I want it to be, I need enough room to pop the little top on the tab there, tab on the top of the tag. So yeah, I think there's about good. Give that a nice press down. Then we can pop our film strip on, and this I'm just going to dab some little bits of glue across the back here, because there are going to be other things anchoring it down, just an odd dot here and there down the edge. And then get this one in place. So I want this one to come higher than the tag, and we'll encompass that washi in there this time, like so. And let me just get my cloth to give that a good press down, and that'll catch any little glue globs that pop out. There we go. That could have done with just being a bit longer, but I can live with that. And then this bit's going to go across the middle, so the bit that we chopped off the film strip now can stretch so that it looks as if it's coming out at the bottom as well. So just a little cheat's way of popping things, you know, making them appear to be longer than what they actually are. So this one's going to go about here, so I can line this up now and just bring it out of the bottom there like so. So I've got it lined up with the one above it, so it's going to look as if it's one continuous piece. I've got a piece of that double-sided tape on the inside of here ready. And again, I am going to add some glue to the edges. Now then, is this going to come off because it's on the corrugated part? Let's see, yeah, we've got it there. Okay, so I've just done this to help everything stick and make it a little bit quicker. And then I am going to run a bead of glue, remembering this is slightly wider than what I need. So I'm just going to go down each side, and then just to stop it grabbing too quickly. And then we're going to line this up. So I want those corrugated pieces to run fairly straight to the edges, so we're going to just eyeball and land about there, I think. Yeah, and then pop that across. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over and give it a press from the back, and then we can cut off those pieces that are extending. So this was just cut from a piece of scrap card, which is why it's a little bit wider than the design. And then we've got that going across our design like so. So the next one's going to be the star, and I have got this on foam dots, and the top one, because it's going over here, I've got 2 of the dots on this one. So I just need to take the backs off here. Always the challenge. Any of you that watch me regularly know that this is the challenge. Some of them play nicely, others decide that they're going to make Jan work for her money. Here we go. That one, that's the double one. So I need to remember to put that one at the top. See, look, there's always one that decides it's not going to play. It's like, not today. That one's fine. So this is the double one. So I want that one up at the top. And again, just so that I've got that little bit of wiggle room, I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on those so that if it does catch, it's not going to sort of stick straight away. And then I want this one to sort of join all those items together. So some of it's overlapping into the tag, some of it's on the film strip, some of it's going to land on the corrugated piece. And I think we're going to go about there and commit to that stick now. So we'll hold that down. And then this, again, I've just made this one. This is actually another label stamp, stamped on the same scrap paper that I used here and the label here. I've used a little bit of that stamp that we used just to add some dots and some distress behind it. Die cut my numbers, popped a couple of little red brads in to link it back to the red, because at this point this was the only red that I had on here. And this is a scrap of paper that was left over from the tag that I've just fishtailed and added that little detail in. And again, I've got a piece of tape on the back of here ready, just to secure it all together. Give that a bit of a burnish, and we can take the liner off. And then I wanted this one, I started off with it in the center, but then decided to just offset it slightly. So we're going to bring it slightly to one side, around about centered on this panel that's been made from the corrugated card. So that's my 15 design. And then we need a happy birthday element, and that was just done with one of my stamp sets. So I've got the happy birthday, I've got my little snippets, I've got a black star, and I've got the tag topper. So those are the only things left to do. So we're going to pop this one. This was just die cut with a set of little tag toppers that I've got out of, again, just so I've got all the neutral scraps out and had a look through the box, the packet, and see what I fancied. And this is going to sit on top of here, in the centre of that one. And because there is a slight difference in height there, I'm not going to put foam underneath it, but I am just going to hold it with my other pair of tweezers for a second. Happy birthday is going to go over the corrugated element. So we're just going to add glue on the back of there. And again, you know, you can go straight, but I'd got a lot of straight going on, so we decided to go at a slight angle on here. And again, it saves you having to worry about getting something straight. I can occasionally do a wonky angle if I think it fits the design. So we've got happy birthday on the front here. And then these are just little snippets. These are my curator's tags from Tim Holtz. And I spend ages. I've got a whole tub of them. It's a big sheet. It's a big sort of Stampers Anonymous sheet. And all I do is stamp them all out. Sometimes just black on white. Sometimes brown on cream. Sometimes I add some of the ink colours in. So this will be Vintage Photo. I think this one is Tea Dye. I've got a little bit of green in there, which will probably be Rustic Wilderness. I think I've got some red in there somewhere. And again, I just have a look through these when I need them. The red will be lumberjack plaid, which is the red that I like to use. There we go. Look, I did consider putting this in, but it was the wrong. It's got quite a pink tone to it, and it was the wrong red. So yeah, just had a rummage through there and picked some out that I liked, and we're going to pop these. Just doesn't need them. Do you have to have these? No. If you don't have them, don't worry. I just felt that we'd got quite a big area here that didn't have any detail on, so we're just going to add some of these little pieces, and you'd be amazed what a difference it makes. And all I do is cut them out. They're stamped on watercolour paper, so that if I do colour them in, this one's antique linen, I just colour them in with my distress inks, and then I've just cut them out with my scissors and inked around the edges of them, and then I've got them all good to go. So we're going to pop that one up to the top one and up to the photo frame, and then I'm going to have this one overlapping like so. You know, you might not want to do this stage. That is absolutely fine. You know, if this is not your thing, you don't have to do this. And I've just realised now that I had one under the edge of here, and I've stuck that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this one down like so. And yes, that bit is going to go back in my pot. You never know when you might need a little tiny skinny scrap. Add some ink, and then what we'll do is we'll just pop this up to the edge of the tag. The other one I actually stuck underneath it, but this one can literally just go under here, and you would be none the wiser. So just linking everything together. And then all I thought after that is that this needed some linking back to here, and that's where the little die cut star came in. It's just a tiny little bit of black just to help link things together. And I'm going to bring this cluster here together by popping the star over them like so. And that's the bulk of it finished. We've got a little bit of stamping to do. It was like, you know what I'm like, step away from the card, Jan. But I just thought, right, it just needs a little bit of something. And I've just chosen some stamps out of the stash, just little tiny ones here. And let's see what we're going to use. We've got that little bit here, just on the bottom of the tag topper. So I'm going to use that brown ink again. And we're going to pop that one in there like that. Just adds that bit of something to it. And then I've got a number to pop. You know how much I like working with the numbers, as if we've got one here, we've got one here, we've got some on here. Oh, it's like step away from the numbers, Jan. But we're going to pop one there just to sort of bring all that into line. And then I've got an even tinier one. These are just off stamp sets out of my stash. Now, last time I hid this one in here, and it didn't really show up very well. So because our dots don't come as low down, I'm going to pop this one right at the bottom there like so. So we've got them going at different angles. And again, it's not necessary. It's just a finishing touch. If it's not your thing, don't worry about the stamping. It's absolutely fine. And then it was like, I wasn't sure about the edge. Now, it doesn't look so bad on this one. I don't know what the difference is, but this one, the edge looked very naked. So I've been around it with my black fine liner pen and done my doodling that I tend to do around the edges of it. But I think I'm going to leave this one plain and see how it looks when we get it on the card. Now, again, I use some foam tape behind this one, but just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to pop this straight onto my card blank so that we've got it flat again. You know, if you don't want that dimension, you've got a little bit of dimension under the star anyway. So we'll pop this one down flat, and we'll use the same all-purpose glue that I'd like to use on anything that's cardstock to cardstock. And I need to put in an order for some adhesives. I'm running low on this one. I'm running low on some of my foam tape. So I think I need to get onto my Sticks To website and order some more elements of glue. So that's just going to go on there like so. And I think I'm going to leave the edge clean on this one. I don't know whether the items are slightly closer to the edge, or I'm not sure. But I thought we'll go with a clean edge versus a deeper, the doodled edge, and just see, you know, if anybody's got a preference over it. So just make sure that one's stuck. And again, this can be any number, you know, absolutely any number. If you don't have the smaller numbers, if yours are bigger, you could leave this tag element off and put the numbers straight onto the star. So yeah, lots of different ways. And again, like I said, you can change the colour scheme up. So if you don't want the red, you could put blue in there. You could put any different colour. You could keep it all neutral if that's what you prefer. But yeah, I just love that pop of red in there. And then, as I say, on this one, I added, I may have gone overboard. Has Jan got too many gens on there? Quite possibly. But you know what I'm like. I just added the red in here to link it. And then I sort of backtracked a bit and thought, oh, we need some black in there as well to link the black. So again, you know, this one, if you could call it cleaner, it's slightly cleaner looking because it hasn't got the doodling on. It's not got as much of the distress stamping that we did in the background, and it's not got all the gems all over it. So, you know, depending on how you like your cards, even though this is very busy, it does look cleaner than this one does. This has got that extra detail on it. So yeah, you know, whichever way you sort of enjoy, if this is your kind of thing, either way works. And like I said, any colour scheme. And then in this one, as I say, I've just gone very, very simple with the greeting inside. I didn't want anything too much. Just stamped in the red to bring that red star and link it inside. And that's my project for today. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I know some of you like this kind of sort of grungy, collagey type work. You've commented on the videos that I've done before, and I do appreciate the comments. I love this kind of style. As much as I love all my pretty pink things, I love this as well, this sort of Tim Holtz inspired look. So yeah, please give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the content today, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber. If you're not already a member of the channel, come and join our happy little family, and I'll be back very shortly with another tutorial for you. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye now.